We've been thinking about this as a time of great loss, about what grief is and what it means to grieve well, so that we can go back into the future in an emotionally healthy way. Rushing back to all that we once enjoyed isn't grieving, and neither is firmly screwing our painful experiences into an internal jar marked "shall never be opened." But we must think that we get something out of behaving like this because, quite frankly, this is what most people do when they suffer loss. So what are we getting out of behaving in these ways? I think the answer is we get pain avoidance out of it. I reckon we choose to go the long way round to avoid pain, and the heart of loss can be very painful indeed, of course. Remember, the real heart of loss is the absence of a person you love or of an experience you really wanted to have. The reason the so-called stages of grief like denial, anger or bargaining are worth it to us is that although they are uncomfortable, they actually insulate us from having to really face the heart of our pain. They're actually easier to feel, and so we can get stuck there. I want to consider a very common roadblock to grieving well, which I think serves the same purpose. It's extremely common for those who mourn to focus on memories of their loved one when they were at the height of their suffering. And this has been made more poignant for us during the pandemic because we haven't been able to be physically present with our loved ones because of concerns about infection, and funerals have been truncated and hardly anyone has been able to attend. And this has massively increased our distress. But it isn't just death itself. The pandemic has condemned many people to living alone. They will have many memories of their unwanted solitary confinement. Others will not have been able to stave off underlying mental health struggles, leading to memories they wish they didn't have. We know that for people of colour, the shocking death of George Floyd triggered countless memories of racist abuse during this time. I believe it can become worth it for us to keep memories alive and the empathy or anger they evoke. Again, I think we get something out of this which is not grieving the real loss, which is that this person is really gone or that this really happened to me, for example. Post-traumatic stress disorder seems to be a coping mechanism by which people who've experienced extreme suffering disassociate from the experience while it's going on to protect themselves. The problem is they can be triggered then by countless related experiences years later and only find healing as they allow themselves to feel what originally happened. So feeling our actual feelings is very important, and getting stuck on horrible memories is a way of not doing that. Let me tell you a true story. After my mother died, I used to focus on particular memories of her suffering. Her desperate reaction when she was first told her condition couldn't be treated, what she looked like when she lost so much weight, the fact that she chose to leave her wedding ring behind when she went into hospital for the last time because she knew she wasn't coming back. I really loved my mother, and these memories of her in pain and distress tormented me. Once when I was going over these things again and crying, a loud thought came into my mind, apparently from nowhere. At that stage, I didn't realize that this was God speaking to me, but I have subsequently worked it out. And the words that came to me were, "She's not stuck in a moment." And I realized that going over and over the experiences she'd had was strictly unnecessary because they had finished and were in time past. The loss of my mother had not finished, but everything that had happened to her in her body had. She was not stuck in a moment. And so there was no reason for me to be stuck there in my feelings with her. And this reassurance brought me great peace, and I've repeated this to many people over the years, comforting them with the comfort I receive from God. So this means that the person you love, who has suffered so much, is not stuck in that moment of suffering, and that you do not need to be stuck in that moment either. There isn't some endless loop on repeat in which those we love or we ourselves are trapped. The realization of this can help us to stop tormenting ourselves with these memories and lead us to go back to the real heart of our grief, which is truly missing what we've lost. Anything else is anesthetic. But remember, it's only by facing what has actually happened that we can grieve well and so eventually move on without pain. Finally, I want to consider one more roadblock to effective grieving.